Autistic individuals face mental health struggles 4 times more than their neurotypical peers. Why is this, and what can we as parents of autistic preschoolers do about this now while our children are still little? For those new to our community, welcome to Autism Brain Empowerment. I'm Deva, a licensed brain health coach based in the UK, and here we believe in a child not being defined by their labels, and the ability to rewire and change your brain using the principles of neuroplasticity. Hit subscribe to join us on this incredible journey. Now, so we can all agree that in the midst of a mental health epidemic, which shows no signs of slowing down, a UK-based charity called Young Minds reported that suicide rates for 15 to 19-year-olds are the highest that they've ever been in 30 years. And that this trend has been rising in the UK and the developed world year on year. We can all point to changes in our society about why this is happening. So these include growing up in a social media world where teens and young people are growing up in a comparison-based illusion world where they are comparing their everyday lives to someone's perfect moments and highlight reels on Instagram. Or we could say that young people are experiencing record levels of body dysmorphia because of the effect of these AI social media filters. So that also contributes to why they are making them hate their bodies more, and it goes to explain why plastic surgery requests from young people to look more like an Instagram filter is also increasing. Another social factor is that families are moving away from each other, so that there is no longer a supportive community or village-like feel for that child, and that's been lost.
Stall for me. I'll be right there. The investor's supposed to show up on Thursday.
Dad just left us.
Oh, he doesn't. And children aren't going to the church or a mosque community every week anymore. So that's all increasing the loneliness that we see in our society. And that all, again, goes to explain the increasing year-on-year trend of suicide rates in the UK for young people. Unfortunately, these are social reasons which we have no control over, and children's brains and children and teenagers' brains are still developing, so they're more vulnerable in the development stage, so they're at greater risk of mental illnesses than older people. So this all explains the alarming and record rates of suicide and mental illness in our society. These are all social factors in about 2024, which we can't change when we've chosen to become parents in this day and age. Now, the worst thing is knowing that as a mum of an autistic child, that individuals who are diagnosed with autism are 4 times more likely to experience depression over the course of their lives compared to a neurotypical peer, and that autistic individuals are more likely to experience mental health disorders such as anxiety or bipolar disorder, depression, again, compared to neurotypical individuals. Now, if you're a mama bear like me, who just wants to dream of the perfect independent life for both of her children, including my 5.5-year-old who is diagnosed with autism, you're probably thinking, not my child. I'm not going to accept that as his reality. So what can I do about it? So based on what we've spoken about before, children are growing up in 2024 in a completely different society where mental health risk factors are just increasing year on year. So because society is changing year on year and it's just getting lonelier, and those factors we can't control. However, in every situation, there's always something to look for, where what you look at what you can control and what you can't control. Autistic individuals are more reserved than neurotypical children in general, and they tend to lean towards becoming more anxious or aggressive, and their communication skills and emotional literacy skills to know how they're feeling and then communicate this and share this to a safe person is also more difficult as well. It's also more accepted that autistic individuals will find friendships and social connections, which are the most important indicator for life longevity, I've linked Robert Waldinger's famous TED Talk down below, Harder as well. So as a fellow mama bear, let's bring this back to what we can control. Knowing this all was enough motivation for me as a driving force to help my child come out of his shell and to learn emotional literacy. I threw everything at my child. I invested him with my money, with my time, so that we could rewire and grow his brain, so that we can grow the cerebellum, which is smaller in autistic children, and relax his frontal lobe, which generally works harder in autistic children. And this goes to explain why autistic children tend to be more rigid in their thoughts and have slower processing speeds and communication skills compared to neurotypical peers. Even now, while my son is thankfully thriving in life, meeting every milestone and has made loads of kind friends everywhere he goes, I still do a program of emotional literacy with him every single day. As part of this emotional literacy development, I focused on 4 main things. The first thing that we did is I role-played everyday situations with him using Marvel action figures. So in these occasions, he would be sitting on his dad's lap and I would be reenacting a situation that we've had that day or that week with these action figures. And I do this with him as many times as he needs to. And I will name the emotions of what those people are feeling when I'm reenacting it as well. And then I will give him the action figures so that he can do this back to me and he can explain to me what was going in his head or what he thinks was going in other people's head, and in a completely non-threatening way, to learn about what he's thinking and what he thinks has happened. And it generally just processes situations. So this exercise has really been invaluable, and a lot of times it's been the key turning point of moving forward and getting through a situation. So highly recommend this. Another thing that we do together is that I make a big emphasis on giving him a emotionally rich language vocabulary using books and flashcards, so that he's able to recognize emotions on a human's face and has the words to describe it. So emotional literacy is a skill which can be learned. And as humans, we feel a feeling first before we are able to think and realize what that feeling is. So naming and realizing what your feelings are is key to processing it and not festering on it. So in the emotional flashcards and the books that I read with my child, it explains complex emotions like feeling jealous or feeling rejected on there. And these are tools and skills that I can give my child as he's growing up in a different world than one I grew up in, one where mental health risks are rising year on year, and giving him and his sister this skill is something that I can control. So the other things that we focus on as a family is daily meditation and time in nature. So when we practice meditation, we always practice on having longer breaths out and a deep breath in, but a longer breath out. That would relax a person's nervous system and get them out of fight and flight mode. You might be thinking, Deba, this is too advanced for my autistic preschooler. He doesn't have any words yet, and I don't even think he can understand me. And this might be true for where your child is at right now, and it was also true for me at one point with my child. But boosting emotional literacy is something that we can control. It's a skill that we can develop in our autistic children. And I am growing up in this crazy day and age where mental health risks are just increasing year on year. I think it's important to concentrate on that. That's why I've included it in one of the later parts of my 10-step framework, in rewiring your child's brain, your autistic child's brain, so that they can start reaching their developmental milestones. If you're interested in learning more about my 10-step framework, please book a free discovery call with me. There's a link down below to my website where you can do that. If you resonated with this, I would love to hear your stories and insights, so please comment down below. And if you enjoyed this video, please click here to watch a video about the one secret truth that transformed my autistic son's life forever.